So, both are example of urban regeneration projects, okay? So you can use either, I'm going to be honest. The reason we teach both in Red and Green is because Shoreditch is what we call a market-led approach to urban regeneration, whereby market forces, demand and supply, people's decision-making and purchasing power, forces an area to change through the purchasing and selling of properties, whereas the Olympic Park is what we call a government-led initiative, where the government decided to ring fence an area of London and completely regenerate it through government intervention. And the end product is the exact same. It's just how we go about delivering the result. Olympic Park was a intense one-off project, whereas Shoreditch is a continual reprocessing and repurposing of the buildings in the area. I've made a whole video for this, okay, but realistically, the case studies we do depends school by school, but in Red and Green, for urban issues, we do Lagos in Nigeria and we do London in the UK. And then in a changing economic world, we do Nigeria as a NEE, we do the UK as a HIC. And then in section C, when we do energy, we do energy. We don't do food and water. They're the key things you need to keep in mind. Do you answer questions with those things in mind? Lagos, Nigeria, London, the UK, and energy. You'll be fine on that paper. It's a great question. It's to do with the approaches to development and closing the development gap. The key understanding is top-down means from the very top of the pecking order to the bottom, and bottom-up is the other way around. So in essence, top-down approach to development is something that is government-led and what they call trickles down through the civil society to us as everyday citizens, whereas a grassroots approach or bottom-up approach is something that is done by society and by small-scale individuals and makes its way up to policy level. Okay, so example of top-down approach to closing the development gap, for example, in the UK would have been the HS2 building. Government decision that would have benefited local people if it had gone ahead, obviously. And in the case of bottom-up, it would be something like charity work, so things like Oxfam or Médecins Sans Frontières or the Red Cross. Civil society filling in the gaps of where the government hasn't technically made the policies fit the needs. So this is a question I've had a lot, okay? The key thing about paper 2 is it's a paper that was most affected by COVID years. Therefore, it's a paper where during the COVID years, some content was withdrawn, some content was cancelled, some content was made optional. So lots of past papers will say different instructions, okay? The key thing you need to remember, everyone in the UK needs to answer section A. Everyone in the UK needs to answer section B. So that means every question in the urban issues, every question section, every question in the changing economic world section have to be answered by everyone. In section C, which is the final section, everyone in the country needs to answer question 3 about UK food, water and energy. Okay, that's it, everyone will do it. You then have to choose between question 4, 5 or 6. 4 and 5 are about food and water, global food and water supply. And question 6 is about global energy. At Red and Green, in my school, we do energy. Okay, so I expect my students to answer question 3, which is UK energy, food and water. Okay, everyone in question 3, and question 6 only.